Hello, and welcome to the Edifice of Trust podcast. The Edifice of Trust podcast is a thoughtful discussion of today's current events from the perspective of America's founding principles. Hello, everyone. I think I am beginning to understand at least one aspect of President Trump's foreign policy. My insight began when U.S. forces captured and arrested Venezuelan president and longtime dictator Nicolas Maduro, but left the rest of Mr. Maduro's team in place to run the country, while ignoring the legitimacy and popularity of Maria Corina Machado, the head of the Democratic opposition, who won the election for president that was stolen by Mr. Maduro. Mr. Trump appears to believe that the nature of a country and its relationship with the United States is largely determined by the leader of that country. Take out that leader and the relationship changes. That is largely true of dictatorships, but it is not necessarily the case in democracies, where democratic institutions, political parties, and non-governmental organizations play a larger role in society. Dictatorships are easier to deal with, just mano a mano. Mr. Trump likes to use tariff as leverage for arranging trade relationships with other countries, especially since the size of the U.S. economy and our huge level of imports gives us tremendous power over other countries. However, tariffs don't work on smuggled cocaine and fentanyl, so Mr. Trump had to use alternative means to control the trade relationship with Venezuela, where drugs had replaced oil as our principal import from that country. Was it the ruined lives of U.S. addicts or the tremendous trade deficit caused by the massive importation of drugs that motivated him to take action? You will have to ask him yourself. The fact that a corrupt dictatorship remains in charge of Venezuela does not seem to bother Mr. Trump. That is because the corrupt dictatorship kowtows to Mr. Trump's orders and is willing to throw Venezuela's oil industry into the hands of American oilmen and entrepreneurs. The fact that at least some of these oilmen and entrepreneurs are golfing buddies and pals with Mr. Trump and hated by the Democratic opposition does not seem to bother him at all. A lot of people are going to make a lot of money dealing with the new version of the Chavez-Maduro regime. And as I speak this morning, news reports confirm that American and Israeli bombs have killed Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, along with many of the regime's top leaders, including the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Minister of Defense, and the Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces. President Trump is urging Iranian citizens to take to the streets again to overthrow the Islamic Revolutionary regime that has ruled that benighted country since 1979, while Israel and the U.S. bomb military sites from 50,000 feet. Of course, the Iranian citizens don't have any guns with which to fight the well-armed Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, any more than the Venezuelans had against Maduro. But the Iranians also lack a more or less democratic opposition, such as was the case in Venezuela, that President Trump chose to ignore. So who would actually take over and run a huge country of 90 million people after the collapse of the Islamic Revolutionary regime? Remaining regime leaders have named a three-man council to lead the country until a new supreme leader can be named, so the Islamists are not going to give up control easily. Already there have been rumors of cargo planes flying gold out of Iran as the corrupt leaders try to find a safe place to hide their stolen wealth. But they need not waste their time. Corruption doesn't seem to bother Mr. Trump. Corrupt leaders he understands. It's the fanatics that place religion, ideology, or even patriotism over money and wealth that he doesn't understand. Remember, Mr. Trump called fallen soldiers suckers and losers. Seeing as how the IRGC controls much of the Iranian economy, there must be at least some guardsmen more interested in money than in religion or revolution. All those money-hungry leaders have to do is line the fanatics up against the wall to take care of Mr. Trump's concerns. If Iran stops wasting money on building nuclear weapons and exporting Islamic revolution across the Middle East, there will be a lot of money to be made. Iran has almost as much oil reserves as Venezuela, and if Trump can live with Delcy Rodriguez and the corrupt remnants of the Maduro regime, he will be equally comfortable with whoever runs Iran as long as they toe the American line. I don't know who those folks are, but I am sure they are out there. So, although ordinary Iranians will be slaughtered in the streets of Tehran as they confront the well-armed IRGC in their attempt to rid themselves of the current regime, once the Islamic fanatics are replaced by crooks and swindlers, there will be peace in the Middle East. So, although Messrs. Trump and Netanyahu's attacks are unprecedented and probably illegal, the outcome, at least in the short run, could be beneficial. And the Board of Peace will oversee the new allocation of wealth among the victors. So, what is next? I would be willing to bet that a lot of Cuban exiles are making the trek up I-95 to Mar-a-Lago right now. Thanks for watching. Links to source material used in preparing this podcast can be found on my website, www.edificeoftrust.com.